أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم اللعين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد ومحمد. يا إخواني وأخواتي, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear brothers and sisters, may the peace of Allah be upon you, inshallah, God willing. So, we continue with extract from this book, Filipino Combat Systems, Eskrima, Kali, Ernest Sikaran. An introduction to an ancient art for modern times. So, a very interesting book because there is a lot of techniques and presentation of weapons and stuff like that. But there is also, and theories, martial theories and stuff like that. But there is also some philosophical content. So I made some lecture about it. Even some quotation of some famous mysticists like Mr. Jung, Jung, which was one of the main proponents of the Eranos circles. So, an highly educated circles of Switzerland with a lot of interaction and articles of various masters of philosophy or Eastern or Western doctrines and stuff like that. So, high spiritual contents. So, there is a part of the book which is called tribal arts versus martial arts. I'm not agree with everything written with the author, but I will present the text and I will give you some insight about it. I, as a writer and as a martial artist, feel fortunate to have been given this opportunity to write the first book on the subject of Ray Dinaldo's Filipino combat systems. So in fact, the writer is the student of the founder of a specific system, which is a branch of Filipino martial arts in general. So this is a style. So this is a subgroup. And so one of the students chose to write a book about the art, the system, which was developed by his teacher. So, great initiative. I have the unique position of being not only a first generation student of the founder, but also of being his friends for more than 2/3 of our life. So I take pride of being a friend of a system founder. So this is not a founder of a specific martial art, but more of the orientation of a specific style and emphasis on specific formula for an existent martial art. So it is a style more than anything. Many martial artists wish that they could have had the opportunity to sit down with the founder of their system and ask questions. I have had the opportunity. I have found that the great insight is not access to some secret teaching that brings everything together with your fighting skills. I have often heard Ray speaks about Filipino combat system as a tribal art. So this is, by the definition of the founder, more a tribal art by opposition of martial art. Martial art is linked to maybe military organization of a state, and tribal art is more linked to a tribe. So tribe, normally, by definition, are relatives from a same or a close bloodline. So in fact, in a tribe, you have some genetical bond, surat al-rahm, in Arabic concept, Islamic concept. And so, here there is some contradiction of the author, which is a Westerner by its own confession. speak of as a tribal martial art as opposed to a martial art. A tribe is an extended family, and family normally is by blood. But this is a contradiction of the author. I have attended many seminars and classes with masters of the martial arts, only to see everyone so tense and so filled with dread that they keep looking at the clock on the wall, hoping for the class and the stress to come to an end. At Guru Ray's seminar, I see people enjoying themselves. So, in fact, here is the author is opposing good feeling, which he found in his school, for example, as being good, and tense feeling as being something bad. Formal courses as being something serious stuff, as being something that is bad. So in fact, this is what is called Epicurean philosophy. So when you feel good, you are in the good. But in the Eastern normally definition, even in the Quranic codex, sometimes you think something bad happened to you, but it have a good inside it. So the inherent quality of being a good thing is not from the feeling. It's from the ultimate truth, the ultimate point of view, the elevated point of view of God, and not the human. Human don't know al-insan, even in Arabic, to characterize mankind. The word is insan. Insan is based on the verb Arabic insa, which means to forget, because man forget is linked with the Almighty. And this is one of the problem. And we will see that I'm not being some shortcuts or misinterpretation of the implication of the position of the author. Smiling and having fun. So in the definition of the Western world, having fun is the basis, is the mizan, is the balance, mizan in Arabic, to weight between a good thing and a bad thing. But it is not the case in the Eastern philosophy, normally. As an added bonus, I see them learning life-saving skills that do not take 10 lifetime to master. So simple way, straightforward way to learn some useful skills, but skills that are life-saving. So this is a serious matter. This is not fun. Life-saving is the contrary of fun or void. As an added bonus, I see them learning life-saving skills that do not take 10 lifetime to masters. So simplicity of system, straightforwardness. I do not see people at Filipino combat system seminar filled with dread that they are going to be publicly humiliated for doing something wrong. So students have to learn, or perhaps a little bit differently than someone else. So there is an acceptation of personal twist when you learn technique in Southeastern martial art in general. But many forms are very rigorous too. So this is not exactly the truth. What I see is an extended family. So the author have the illusion of seeing an extended family on basis of what? On basis of his membership, on basis because he took some class, he pay a teacher and stuff like that. This is not a tribal bond. This is a paycheck bond. So it is different. It is maybe a friendship by interest, but it is not at all a tribal interaction. So from the start, the the Western approach is flawed from the get-go. What is FCF? FCS, so Filipino Combat System. I have seen in its founder and in its concept the embodiment of the principle, open quotation, that which we seek as human beings is not a meaning of life. This is important here. What we are really looking for is the experience of being alive. So one more time, I respect the style of the author, but it is a problematic approach, a problematic conception. Meaning in English come from the Arabic ma'na. Ma'na means signification in Arabic. It comes to the English language with the erudition of some scholars of Europe integrated in their language, but meaning come from ma'na. ومعنى can be a contraction of a concept meaning signification. So معنى ما على نحن فيها, for example. Or ما what على are نحن are we on فيه regarding it. So this is the meaning of معنى. This is the idea of the semantic charge in Arabic of the letter used in the word معنى. So it is a questionment of a life, and this is how you set a serious goal in your life. So a quest about signification, about correct understanding, فهم. What we are really, so that which we seek as human being is not a meaning of life. So for him, it is not important to have an understanding of the signification of life. What we are really looking for is the experience of being alive. So in fact, there is no difference between this approach, between an animal, between a flower, and between a human. And in fact, in the Islamic conception, there is a huge gap. This is this quest of meaning of life that characterize human being, not living only the present instant. We want to grow. We want to evolve. But for what? We want to be ourselves. But why you learn a Filipino martial art charged with tradition, charged with critical encounters with colonialism, struggle, wars, if there is not a quest on something above just being alive, without rules, without restraints, without disciplines, without preservation of a tradition. We want to have a really good time while we do these things. So this is the point of view of a Westerner, of an American, of someone which is not firmly rooted in the earth and not gaining the ray of the sun also on the upper of the tree. We speak of martial arts more often than we speak of martial science. An artist feel, a scientist know. In combat, literal and metaphorical, if you wait until you know before you act, then you are dead. If this is a question of life or death, it is a serious matter. You are not here to have any fun. It is self self-preservation due to fear of harm or to fear to losing life or someone of your relative, beloved, family, etc., extended circle, I don't know. So this is a serious matter. And all the principles of martial arts are based on firm knowledge. And we have in Islamic tradition even quotation in the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, who says, "اطلبوا العلم ولو في السين." So learn the knowledge, العلم الجسدي, knowledge of the body, even from sin. For example, knowledge of the body is one of the knowledge. So الحركات الجسمية الجسدية، العلوم السيوف، علوم السلاح, it is knowledge of the weapons, knowledge of the body, knowledge of the strike. Even in the Quran, we have Moses killing a man with his own hand, with a punch. This is some stuff that are based on knowledge, on body mechanics, on velocity, on cultivation of the body, of the self, etc. So this is pure knowledge. And you can tweak your inner machine to a degree that it can become more instinctive. But it is based on knowledge. It is based on work. It is not based on mere pleasure. So we speak of martial arts more often than we speak of martial science. An artist feels, a scientist know. In combat, literal and metaphorical, if you wait until you know before you act, then you are dead. But you act based on knowledge because you act based on repetition and based on experience. And this is one of the truths people must to accept. Ultimately, the goal of the martial path is to make the practitioner a better person. Let us never lose sight of this as we explore the arts. So in fact, by definition, martial arts is based on effective protection, effective winning about an encounter or self-survival and stuff like that. So it is not only being a better person, it is being a skillful person, a disciplined person that can perform in the art of war, martial art of war. So the martial path is can give many benefits, but its main goal, its first mission, being a settler of peace, even if force is induced in that task and encounter. This is the base of all armies. May they are moral or not is another problem, but we have to understand this and not be fooled by false definition that contradict even the word used. So there is the brother Karim from Liverpool. If ask me if I speak Arabic. So this is the question of the brother Karim from Liverpool. So I'm Arab by ethnicity. بحكي العربية. نعم. So core concept of FCS and basic martial principles. There is a diversity of technique in the multitude of martial disciplines. The philosophy of technique application may vary from system to system. Despite this, there are some basic principles of combat that will benefit any practitioners. So, there is some core concept of Filipino combat system, and basic martial principles. So this is in fact principles that are shared in many art forms of self-preservation, and counter combat, stuff like that. So I'm originally from Middle East, from Lebanon. I'm half Lebanese, half Algerian. So I've got some property here, and here. So there is a diversity of techniques in the multitude of martial arts, martial discipline. The philosophy of techniques application may vary from a system to system, but the spirit can be the same. Despite this, there is some basic principles of combat that will benefit any practitioner. These principles arise from the fact that regardless of what discipline you fall under the common constraint which the law of physics and human physiology and psychology place upon us all. So this is a source of knowledge here. So it is not only feeling, it is something that you have to learn. May it be by personal experience of gravity or stuff like that when you fall, or by learning, by sharing. And in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we got some quote. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. So there is a clear indication that with writing, with the pen, with the paper, with the transmission, the insan, the one who is eligible to forget, can learn. That's why it's important to have some basic structure in your learning process, and also some kind of notation, some kind of transmission for the future generation, and all that stuff. You cannot come, for example, with a system and thinking this is the end of martial art development, for example. So it is a part of the human tradition. It is a part of a path of straightforwardness in the direction of the Almighty. It's very important to understand that martial arts are not the monopoly of the Far East. It is a human Adamic tradition, and it was made to protect since the time of Qabil wa Habil. There was concurrential bloodlines between humanity. So despite this, there are some basic principles of combat that will benefit any practitioner. These principles arise from the fact that regardless of what discipline you fall under the common constraint which the laws of physics and human physiology. So أحسن التقويم. So in fact, the way God chose to create you induce some strength and some weaknesses also. It is in the physiological aspect of the being, and psychology place upon us all. A conscious awareness of this principle, which are ingrained in the arts, will aid in their development. It will foster a subconscious reflexive application when they must be called upon for personal defense. So there is this idea of self-preservation. It is a well-known concept, even in religious, since the birth of humanity. This concept is ingrained in our nature. The reader should take note that the principles that we'll discuss within this chapter often overlap one another due to the importance of these core concepts. I will state and restate some of them in several different contexts. The interwoven nature of martial core concept is reminiscent of the story of a young student of the Hindu religion. And this is interesting here. Who went to his teacher and asked the question. Beginning of the quotation. How many gods are there in the pantheon of our faith? So this man was, the student was an Hindu, and he asked a question to his teacher. How many gods in the pantheon of our faith? So in the Hindu faith. The old master replied, open of the quotation, there are 100,000 gods within the heavens. This matter-of-fact answer satisfied the boy for a time. So the boy was content with this answer. But as the boy grew older and wiser in his faith, the old man's answer seemed more and more wrong somehow. After several years of study, the young man again approached his teacher with the same question. This time the answer is given was 10,000, so a different number, a decrease in the number of gods. Time and again over the years the student asked of the master the same question which plagued his heart. Each time the question was asked, a different answer was given, 1,110, etc. The number of God grew smaller and smaller the longer the student walked the path toward enlightenment. Enlightenment is a key concept of Islamic faith. Tanwir, derived from Nur, and also in the Zen tradition, derived from Buddhist Satori in Japanese, which means enlightenment, and Buddha, which means simply the enlightened. So, a key concept. In the end, the student was known an old man himself. He came one last time to ask his ancient dying master. So in this bed of death, his master, he asked one more time, last time, this question. Tell me truthfully, old man, how many gods are there? The old man smiled and raised a single finger. So the old man didn't spoke and raised a single finger. Tawheed, oneness of God, a similar concept in Islam. So the old man smiled and raised a single finger. Smiled because he found that he had to say the truth as a farewell for his departure. The student returned the smile. Finally, the student understood and became a master himself by the encounter of Tawheed. Waters fall from the skies in countless millions of individual drops. It can be found in tens of thousands of lakes, rivers, and streams. But in the end, it always comes from and returns to the sea. This is the same story, in different form as that of the Buddha raising a single flower when asked for the foundational truth of his teaching. Truth, which is haqiqa in Arabic terminology. His disciple Keshapa is said to be the only one who understood. With this understanding, he went and found the Chan or Zen sect of Buddhism. We as martial artists will find, in the same manner as our spiritual counterparts, that upon careful examination, the number of the principle which we follow becomes smaller and smaller. In the end, there is only one principle in the end. So, very interesting part of the book I love to share with you. So, sadly, my video device is always empty, so I have to cut the video short. But this is the end of this particular chapter, so I will add some more later. التمس الدعاء. الله معكم. إلى اللقاء. مع السلامة.